a complete picture of what this mean by this mellows or Bhakti Rasamurda Sindhu or Bhakti Rasa or Rasa. That's a core theme of the Bhakti Rasamurda Sindhu or the nectar of devotion. Sri Rupa Goswami emphasizing on this. So today we will have an overview of what exactly that mean by, and then what is that nectar of devotion. So what it gives us, what is the results of it. Okay, so we'll go with it, and let's see if you are able to unmute and please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtabrayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya Bhagavadi Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavadi Naishtigim. Om Nagyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthabidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadadhi Supadandikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Radhabadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahaganadhanidam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganalalitam Shri Vishakhanidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyev cha Adidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare
Rama Hare
Hare
Hare.
Om Namo Namo Niruddhaya Rishikeshendriyatmane Namaha Paramahamsaya Purnaya Nuvurtatmane Om Nityananda Udindit Durvasuda Pranavallabha Janava Jeevitapatihi Krishna Prema Prada Prabhu Padmavati Sudha Sriman Sajinandana Purvajaha Bhavun Matta Jagatrada Rakta Gaura Kalevaraha Om Harihi Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining this very auspicious nectar of devotion. This is a very deep subject matter, the nectar of devotion, which gives us the ultimate results of our existence, or we call it as the perfection of our life. Especially when we come to this chapter, which is called Transcendental Mellows. Last few classes were describing about what is this ecstasy or mellows or rasa, or transcendental ecstasy, how one can reach to that point, who is eligible to reach that point of transcendental ecstasy or the mellows or the ocean of bliss. There's so many ways it can explain. But Srila Rupa Goswami or our acharyas mentioned that this is called mellows or transcendental emotions, mellows, rasas, relishing that. So there are deep meaning for this word itself. So let us see what all we can understand from this chapter and how we can really connect to ourselves. So in this chapter, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada translated that to this transcendental mellows or this ecstasy is divided into five. So first is vibhava or special symptom or causes of ecstasy. This means that the symptoms or what causes to get that ecstasy or get that mellows or the emotions, right? What causes it? Then we can understand also anubhava. Anubhava means the subsequent ecstasy or subsequent transcendental ecstasy. When a person developed that symptoms and a person has specific reasons to come to that stage of transcendental ecstasy, then he developed further. This is called subsequent ecstasy or anubhav. That means which follows. Anu means follows, follows that transcendental symptoms, right? That's called anubhav, anubhav, or that experiencing or that experiences that symptom or transcendental ecstasy or that mellow. Then it is Swarupa Goswami mentioned that Swatika Bhav, or it is called constitutional or existential ecstasy. That is our infield. Then once develop that transcendental ecstasy, then it will become constitutional or existential ecstasy. Then it will be always there. Then it's called Vibhijari Bhav. Vibhijari Bhav means aggressive ecstasy, and then it goes matures. It intensifies that transcendental mellows, that intensifies. So when it is intensifies and it goes deep into that ecstasy, then one comes to that, it's called Sthai Bhav, fervent or continuous ecstasy. Then person is completely in that relationship, completely in that mellow, completely in that transcendental mellows with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Many devotees sometimes, it is mentioned that why it is mentioned all this and why Srila Rupa Goswami took time to reveal. As we know that Srila Rupa Goswami is not an ordinary personality. Srila Rupa Goswami is the Rupa Manjari, very close associates of Srimati Radharani and Krishna and all the eternal transcendental associates of close associates of Radha and Krishna. So they only can reveal this. So that's why we are known as Rupanugas. We should follow the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So when we follow the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, then only we can attain that transcendental mellows. Otherwise, we will just begin. We just start, we just show, and we just say, we are, but we don't really experience the transcendental mellows. And it's also, Mr. Prabhupada also mentioned that this transcendental, this is very esoteric, very confidential subject matter should not reveal to the ordinary living entities because of they may not understand. Even it is mentioned that unless and until one is completely free from the material inclinations or material attachment and he is not in the material platform, he only can completely understand this mellows and ecstasy. And Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that it should not be discussed in a common with the common people because of they may argue, they may question, they may so many offenses they make. So, but that's why also this give an overview, and we will not also go in deep into that each mellow or each the divisions and the subdivisions of this mellow. So this also gives an overview so that we can understand that this there is a transcendental mellow, there is a state, there is a plane, or that one can experience this transcendental mellow or these emotions or transcendental emotions which is beyond our material conceptions of life. That's why Srila Rupa Goswami revealed this, and Srila Prabhupada took time to complete this. When Srila Prabhupada completed this nectar of devotion, Srila Prabhupada was in Los Angeles, and Srila Prabhupada very humbly submitting this nectar of devotion, and so that we can go further, little more understanding about this the or that the transcendental mellows or the ecstasy, so that we will not say that oh these are all sentimentals. The people are when they get sentimental, they show various symptoms like that, but there is no sense. It all arises from the our material conception of the life. But no, there is also material, there is also spiritual, and one who entered into that transcendence or the spiritual plane, then only he can experience this transcendental mellows and the ecstasy. So with that note, so here Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada also translate that what is that rasa. He's mentioned that very please hear this very attentively. The what is the rasa? Srila Rupa Goswami says, and Srila Prabhupada translates that the particular loving mood or attitude relished in the exchange of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called rasa or mala. See that? A particular loving mood, a particular loving mood or attitude relished in the exchange of love with the Supreme Lord, with the exchange of love. So this love, this transcendental mellows or emotions can only experience when a devotee is completely in loving devotional service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, that's a but then only we can experience that. It's not that just we say that okay, I get tears, I get that one, this one. There are material also there, and similarly there is also spiritual. So this the different types of rasa when combined together help one to taste the mellow of devotional service in the higher degree of transcendental ecstasy. See that? Higher degree. So this is on the highest platform. This is in the highest transcendental platform or the highest devotional platform. The different types of rasa, there are not just there are different types, as mentioned that five different types of rasas, transcendental mellows, when combined together help one to taste the mellow of devotional service in the highest degree of transcendental ecstasy. Highest degree. So there are so many examples. If you take our acharyas, they are not ordinary souls. They all reached up to that stage of. I was reading this Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. When at the last stages of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, just before entering into the eternal abode, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur just entered in an ashram, and there he completely closed all the doors and told to the disciples that do not disturb me. 4 years, 4 years, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was completely meditated, completely in immerse of the Lord, completely. Then entered into the eternal abode with the Krishna. So, like that, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj never talked to anyone, never talked to anyone unless there is necessary to talk about Krishna. Otherwise, never talk about Krishna. But that Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj has always in Vrindavan, and Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj could see that what is happening in Vrindavan with that pastimes of Krishna. One time, when Das Babaji Maharaj in Jagannath Puri, sorry, in Mayapur, so then there was Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was living in Vrindavan for quite long time. And then in that ashram there were, when Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj came back to the Mayapur, then that ashram was still there. But Jagannath Babaji Maharaj could see that what is happening in that ashram and in Vrindavan. So one time there was a tulasi which was there in the ashram, and some goats came and started to bite and eat those tulasis. So then Jagannath was Babaji Maharaj immediately, that's not talking to anyone, but immediately told that just stop these gods, just stop these gods like this. So in an ecstasy of that tulasi, which is very sacred and which was gods came and just biting, so immediately, so somebody was nearby and then asked, "What Babaji, what you're saying?" So Babaji mentioned that in the Vrindavan, there is in the ashram that all the tulasis were actually now spoiling by these gods. So immediately these disciples from here, they put a telegram and they got the telegram and they replied by guess. The gods, the sheep came and they destroyed this tulasi some extent. So then Jagannath Babaji Maharaj became little and had to instructed that to take care of those nicely. So the devotees, this is the ecstasy that one develops, one reaches to that point. So there are so many other devotees. They experiences this transcendental ecstasy or transcendental love. It is not just what people say. It is not any sentimental, emotions that we develop in the material world. It's not sentimentals. If something hears, we just tears comes. That's all sentimental. Unless one sometimes, I think Nitai Sevini Madaji was giving a lecture, and somebody asked this question that how do we understand when we hear about little about Krishna, we get tears, and sometimes we get hairs on our body. And how do we understand that? Is it really that ecstasy, which is the transcendental ecstasy, or this is just a initial symptom or just a sentimental symptoms? So Mataji was very beautifully answered. Mataji said that a person who gets these tears or the hair stand on the end, then he continues his devotional services. Not that he just came and he just got symptoms and after that he goes for watching a movie. He goes for involving into his material activities and always engage into the material thoughts and all those things. And what he gets is not a transcendental ecstasy, but it's just a material plane that he just got some kind of symptoms. But a person, those who are, that's why it is mentioned that a person who is really in loving relationship with the Supreme Lord can experience this. Otherwise, it is just a sentimental platform, sentimental plane, it is coming up. So it's very, very important that who actually relishing this transcendental ecstasy. So that is what is mentioned that it is entirely, yeah, so such a position, although entirely transcendent to our experience, will be explained in this section as far as possible, following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada was mentioning this because of we have to have that understanding. So don't take it as very cheaply. So this is the higher studies or deep studies of this transcendental, the spirituality or transcendental science. Okay, so let's go a little more into how can we get into that. So this is how one can attain transcendental mellows. It's very important, so please remember this, how one can attain transcendental mellows. So in the in the further chapters and in this chapter also Sri Rupa Goswami mentioned this relishing of transcendental mellow in discharging devotional service cannot be experienced by all classes of men, because this sweet loving mood is developed only from one's previous life's activities or by the association of unalloyed devotees. As explained above, association with the pure devotees is the beginning of faith in devotional service. Only by developing such faith in the association of pure devotee or by having in one's previous life executed devotional activities can one actually relish the mellow of devotional service. In other words, this transcendental bliss is not to be enjoyed by any common man unless he is so extraordinarily fortunate as to be in association with the devotees or to be continuing his previous birth's devotional activities. So it's very clearly explains here, dear devotees. I'm not going to that, you know, that it's very clear. It's in a plain English. The who can attain or relish this transcendental mellows. Then further, Srila Rupa Goswami says, a person who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness is called a devotee of Krishna. See, who is a devotee? Who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in his activities, in his thoughts, he's in chanting the holy name, hearing the holy name. He goes to the remembering the Lord, he offers the oblations to the Lord, he offers everything. A devotee's life always in Krishna consciousness. That's called devotee. It's not that we just chant the 16 rounds and then done for the day and then engaging in so many other activities. That's not a devotee. It's just a devotee in practice. The devotee is mentioned that a person who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness is called a devotee of Krishna. Sri Rupa Goswami says that all the transcendental qualities discussed previously are also found in the devotees of Krishna. So we'll come to that point. Krishna has 64 transcendental qualities. Krishna has 64 transcendental qualities. So this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu explains that very well. 64 transcendental qualities like Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, then Leela Madhuri, and then the pastimes like that, and then Venu Madhuri. So like that, there are so many. These are the last four qualities of Krishna. Then Krishna also has all the 60 qualities that Lord Vishnu has, that heroic and artistic and strength, opulences, knowledge, fame, and so many other qualities like that. So then a devotee can also come to that 55 qualities. That's also Lord Shiva has 55 qualities. So like that, a devotee in a pure devotional service can attain these 55 qualities as well. So that's why it is mentioned that Sri Rupa Goswami, all the transcendental qualities discussed of Krishna previously found in the devotees of Krishna and also found in devotees of Krishna. So the devotees, This is not just a sentimental, this is science. So one can really reach to that point of transcendental ecstasy with all these various qualities that even Krishna has. Also devotee can also have that. So the devotees of Krishna can be classified into two groups: those who are cultivating devotional service in order to enter into the transcendental kingdom, and those who are already in the perfectional stage of devotional service. So there are devotees are also two kinds. That is, one who is cultivating devotional service, he is known as the sadhakas, and then other is known as the pure devotee who is already in the pure devotional platform. So, a person who has attained the stage of attraction for Krishna and who is not freed from the material impasse, but who has qualified himself to enter into the kingdom of God, is called a sadhaka. See that the definition of a sadhaka? He has the material inclination. He is cultivating this transcendental love, and he is in practice. He is practicing. So he is also devotee in two types. One is sadhaka, and another is a pure devotee. So the definition of a sadhaka is a person who has attained the stage of attraction for Krishna. So that's why he takes the holy name. He hears, we all come to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam class, these classes, and we chant, we offer, we did enter in the trans service. So, but we still have some material inclinations and attachment. But he is cultivating this transcendental love for Krishna. He is known as sadhaka. So, cultivating devotional service in Krishna consciousness, he is known as a sadhaka. So, like this, so then we come to this understanding. Then, who is a sadhaka? So, it is in greater detail which gives that. The descriptions of such a devotee is found in 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 46 of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said that there a person who has unflinching faith and love for the personality of Godhead. So, what is the qualities of a sadhaka? He has unflinching faith in the personality, supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is in friendship with the devotees of Krishna, right? So don't think that, okay, I'm chanting, I don't need to talk to anybody, I don't need anybody, everybody is, I'm the most devotee and everybody else is not a devotee, so I don't associate, I don't friendship with any devotees, other devotees like that. They are not a devotee at all, even in not in even practicing, because of they are in the lower stage of that devotion. But a devotee who is practicing sees everybody else is also a devotee and also try to raise him up to that devotional platform, and then also the his friendship with the devotees of Krishna, and who is very merciful to the ignorant, right? He is very merciful to the ignorant, raising them to the standard of devotional service, and who is uninterested in non-devotees is considered to be situated in the position of cultivating devotion. See the definition of a sadhaka. Always remember this, dear devotees. This is a very powerful statement of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Rupa Goswami. Okay, very powerful statement. So we need to understand that who is a sadhaka, who is a practitioner, who is a practicing devotee, or who is actually follow the rules and regulations in order to come to the stage of this pure devotional platform. So sadhaka is a devotee, is person who has unflinching faith and love for the personality of God. He has the first quality, unflinching faith and love for the Supreme Lord. Then he is friendship with all other devotees of Krishna. Then he is very merciful to the ignorant and those who are and raising them to the standard of devotional service. And he goes out and preach and he distribute books and he talk to the people and he somehow or other he conduct the Bhakti Risha, he brings the people to the Krishna consciousness and he is friends with all these people and ignorant. And he is also at the same time avoid this asanga with the non-devotees, and he is considered to be a position in the cultivating devotional service. He is a sadhaka. So then we can see that there is an example of Villamangala Thakura. We know that Villamangala Thakura, he was practicing. Initially, he was not practicing, but some inclination he has, some faith in Krishna he has. But by a word of a Chindamani, who was a prostitute and instructed him to that, if you put so much of efforts to come to me, if you put that much efforts for Krishna, Krishna would be pleased. That word strike in his heart so much. He just left that prostitute and came to Vrindavan and started to practice. Initially, even he was a disciple of a Mayavadi or a Brahmavadi. And then later, then he became the devotee of the Lord. So that's the way then unflinching faith, and he was then started to practice. And then we can see that the Supreme Lord Krishna himself came to serve Divya Mangalam Thakur like this. So that's one example. So then further it says that when a devotee is never tired of executing devotional service and is always engaged in Krishna conscious activities, constantly relishing the transcendental mellows in relationship with Krishna, he is called perfect. That's a pure devotee or a perfect devotee. So, what is that symptom? When a devotee is never tired of executing devotional service and is always engaged in Krishna conscious activities, constantly relishing the transcendental mellows in relationship with Krishna, he is called perfect. This perfectional stage can be achieved in two ways. One may achieve the stage of perfection by gradual progress in devotional service. Gradual, that's a cultivating and regulated services. Gradually, we can come to that stage. Or one may become perfect by causeless mercy of Krishna. See that? That one can come to the stage of pure devotional platform either by the sadhaka process sadhana or the continuous devotional practices or by the causeless mercy of Krishna, even though he has not executed all the details of devotional service. So one can come to that stage. One can come to this and experience this transcendental mellows when you come and continuously execute loving devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if he does not go through this process and if he has this mercy of Krishna, then he can come to this transcendental ecstasy. So then further, Srila Goswami says a person who is freed from the false egotism of material existence or an advanced mystic is eligible to enter into the kingdom of God, known as Vaikunta. Such a mystic becomes so joyful by constant execution of the regulative principles of devotional service that he thereby achieves the special favor from the Supreme Lord. So, here we know that, okay, one who has the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord can attain this perfect stage, but then he can experience his transcendental love. So, then another question comes, who gets this mercy of the Lord? Who gets this causeless mercy of the Lord? So here it is explained who gets that transcendental, that causeless mercy. And it explains a person who is freed from the false egotism or false ego, his ahanda, this mamata, he is free from all this and the material existence of this false egotism that, I need to be enjoyed by this material energy, or an advanced mystic, right? Or an advanced mystic means here mystic refers by a devotee who is advanced in his transcendental plane or he is developed such a love for the Supreme Lord. He is eligible to enter in the kingdom of God known as Vaikunta. And a sadhaka also eligible to enter into the Vaikunta. So sadhana process, even though that one is practiced, even though little bit of material inclinations, as Srila Prabhupada says, that one who follows these regulative principles, I will take him to the, Goloka Vrindavan. So he is eligible to enter into the Vaikunta. So it's mentioned that such a mystic becomes so joyful by constant execution of the regulative principles. So sadhaka, when he executes sincerely without this false prestige and ego, devotion, then thereby he achieves the special causeless mercy of the Lord. So it's not that, okay, I just went to temple and put some $100. Oh Lord, okay, give me that, give me this. It's not that the mercy of the Lord. Yes, mercy, Lord will shower you, Lord will give you. He is Bhakta Valsala, he is dear to his devotees. But what is really the mercy referring here? The mercy of the Lord means that one who gets to develop this love for the Supreme Lord. He is able to continuously serve the Supreme Lord. He is able to continuously engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. He doesn't stop. He doesn't any kinds of unconditional or conditions he put forward. He is unconditional. He is unmotivated and uninterrupted. He is always continuously served with that love for the Supreme Lord. Then he is the most eligible to receive the causeless mercy of the Lord. Then he can easily get into that. There is an example which mentions Srimad Bhagavatam. We know that Krishna and Balaram and his friends Gopas, they went to the forest to herd the cows. It is almost noon, and Krishna becomes so hungry. And Krishna also wanted to shower mercy. And Krishna told Balaram and other, his friends, cowherd boys, that can you go nearby the village and nearby the house, and there is a sacrifice is happening now. So can you go and request some food that for that we can eat, and so that we can quench our, we can satisfy our hunger. So then these friends of Krishna went there, and they were, there is a home, it's a Brahmin's home, and there were big sacrifice was going on. So then they were preparing so much of food and every items to sacrifice, and the Brahmins were, they were chanting these hymns and so much of wonderful prayers. And then they went there and they requested to this, those who are sacrificed and in a very much busy with the sacrifice. They said, this Krishna and Balaram and they all the cowherd, they came here into the forest, they are herding the cows and they are hungry. Can you please give us some food? So then this Brahmin said that, okay, now we are engaging in this sacrificial services for the pressure of the Lord, and please go away and let us finish this one, and we don't have any time to spare, and you just go away. So then these friends and the Krishna's friends, they came back and told to Krishna that this is what is they told. Then Krishna told and Balaram told to the friends, and then go and ask the wives of these Brahmins and tell them that Krishna and Balaram is here in this forest and they are hungry. So you just tell this to the wives of these Brahmins, and then they will give you this food. So then what happens? They went to the wives of the Brahmins. They told that Krishna and Balaram is here herding the cows. They are hungry. Please give us some food. So immediately when these Brahmana Patnis, these wives of the Brahmins, heard that Krishna and Balaram is hungry, they completely forgot everything. They took bundles of abundance of food, they covered in the pots, and they just ran to the forest to see Krishna and serve this Krishna and Balaram. So that's what is mentioned here. So when there is a mercy of Krishna, it was the mercy of Krishna. The Vrajavasis, the Gopas and the Gopis and all those who are associated with the Krishna is also the mercy of Krishna. When the mercy of Krishna, they reached that transcendental love. The transcendental mellows, as soon as these wives of the Brahmins heard Krishna and Balaram, tears came to their eyes, their hairs stand on the end. They were just putting their homely dress. They just didn't think anything else. They just forgot everything else. That the sacrifice is happening, they need the boga. They forgot everything. They just ran to the forest to see Krishna and Balaram, to feed Krishna and Balaram. The devotees, this is what it is. So it is mentioned that they didn't go for severe regulative principles or sacrificial processes or purificatory processes or nothing, but they just got the mercy of Krishna. When the mercy of Krishna is there, and of course their previous life, and they were devotees, and they were pure in their heart, they don't have any kinds of this material impurities, that I need to do this. They all have that faith and the love in Krishna as he is the supreme Lord. So they achieved the liberation, they achieved the perfection. Then later in that Srimad Bhagavata itself, then these Brahmins realized that the mistake they did, they were repenting. They came forward and requested and mentioned to this Brahmana Bhakti's wife of it, you all are so glorious. You all are so perfect. How is it possible that you get direct service of the Lord and you get that opportunity to feed the lordships? And we were here thousands of years, hundreds of years doing these sacrifices and doing all these very much regulative principles and very perfectly, but we didn't get that chance. So, but on the other hand, the wives very pure-hearted, and they just heard the name, they ran, they had an opportunity to serve the lordships very directly in that such a mellow and such an ecstasy. So they were repenting later, and then these Brahmins were also mentioning this to them. So this is what is mentioned, that when a Krishna's mercy, then we also get that opportunity to serve Krishna with that ecstasy. And also there is an example of Sukadev Goswami. So Sukadev Goswami, we know that as soon as Sukadev Goswami manifested in this world, he became like a 16-year-old boy. And he just, as soon as he got birth, he just grown up like 16 years. I mean, for quite a long time, Sukadev Goswami didn't even come to this material world. He was in the mother's womb because of Sukadev Goswami didn't want to come out. Now, as soon as Sukadeva Goswami just got birth, he became very grown up, like 16-year-old. He just ran to the forest. And Vyasadeva was running behind Sukadeva Goswami. And then Sukadeva Goswami went inside the forest and then started to meditate. So this is the initial symptom of that. Just started to meditate. It's not just meditate on it. Nothing that's very specific. But then Vyasadeva went behind and then started to glorify the Supreme Lord, the personal glorification of the Supreme Lord. Then only Srila Sukadeva Goswami melted a little bit. But that's it. But then after that, Sukadeva Goswami then started to recite these entire glories and the pastimes and the loving mellows and the loving ecstatic symptom developed in the heart of Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami was incessantly, continuously glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, continuously glorifying. And this is what is also mentioned, that this is the mercy of the Lord. One who recite and constantly without false egotism, without any kinds of conditions, he can attain the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So, like this, one who attains the mercy of the Supreme Lord, dear devotees, he can come to that, uh, the pure loving platform or transcendental ecstasy. Then also there is devotee's mercy. It's not only that, Krishna's mercy also, when we serve devotee, also we can attain devotee's mercy, that we can also come to that stage. So it is mentioned that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj said that no one can attain the perfectional stage of devotional service without bowing down before exalted devotees. Always remember this, dear devotees. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Sukadeva Goswami was reciting this and quoting Srila Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj says, no one can attain perfectional stage of devotional service without bowing down before an exalted devotees. We should always seek the shelter of the devotees of the Lord, dear devotees. Always, always seek the. We never think that I am so and so, I have so much of knowledge, I have so much of devotion, I am senior, I am junior, I am this and that. Take that opportunity when you see a devotee, take the shelter of that devotee, pay the obeisance to that devotee, and inquire from that devotee about the transcendental subject matter. This is the way also that we get the mercy of the devotees. Unless and until we have the mercy of the devotees, dear devotees, we cannot attain this perfectional stage. In the last class, I was giving this example of this Kanchi Purna in Varadaraja temple, right? In the Kanchi Purna in Varadaraja temple. And Lord himself mentioned to the Kanchi Purna that unless you have the mercy of the Lord, unless you have the service to the devotees of the Lord, you cannot come to me. So it's very, very important, dear devotees. So there are so many examples out there, like Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi attained the perfection in devotional service simply by executing regulative principles of the service and devotees. Okay, so then we can see that in this section also we can understand that further there are two classes of living entities. One is called the Nitya Siddhas, another is called Nitya Baddhas. So please pay attention to this. Who is actually Nitya Siddha? Who is actually the Nitya Baddha? So Nitya Siddhas are eternally Krishna conscious without forgetfulness. So this is called Nitya Siddhas. One who always remember Krishna. We know that in the Nectar of Instructions, Rupa Goswami mentioned that there is a two thumb rules, and that two thumb rules are: one is actually always remember Krishna, second is never forget Krishna. How is that possible, dear devotees? Such devotees are Nitya Siddhas. So we all can also enter into that platform of Nitya Siddha. That's why Krishna says that one who reaches my abode will never return back into this material world again. As Krishna says that, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yovedi tattvadaha tektva deham punarjanma naidi mamedi. So Arjuna, O Arjuna, one who knows my transcendental appearance and activities upon leaving the body never comes back into this material world again, will comes back to me. There is no doubt he comes back to me with that. So that means he can eternally enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord. He will become the Nitya Siddhas. And as he says that, Nattat Bhasayado Suryana Sashangana Pavakaha Idigatta Nanuvartande Tadhama Paramamama. Krishna says that one who reaches my abode will never return back into this material world again. So this is Krishna's promise like this. So Nitya Siddhas and he never forgets Krishna. He is always in Krishna consciousness. And then they are eternally qualified to serve Krishna, eternally qualified. So this is the another understanding that we should have. Who can actually eternally serve Krishna? One who always remembers Krishna, dear devotees, and execute loving devotional service. Then who is this Nitya Baddhas? That we are. What is that our symptom? That we always forgetful of Krishna, conditioned, forgetful of Krishna conscious. We forget. We are always in forget. We remember so many other things. We so many remember that how can I enjoy? How can I buy Tesla? How can I buy this new beautiful? Modify this, modify my body, beautify my hair, beautify my everything. And this is what it is called the forgetfulness of Krishna consciousness. The forgetfulness of Krishna consciousness is that we are always remember of all the other things but Krishna. But on the other hand, the Nitya Siddhas, eternally liberated, they'll be always remember Krishna. They are least bothered about this material thing. So always remember this. How can or what is the qualities of a devotee that one who can come to this stage? It's very, very important, dear devotees, so that we can practice and come to this stage. So then we come to this different aspects of this, this vibhava and anubhava, then these five other transcendental symptoms. So we will have an overview, and then so that we can understand that yes, there is a transcendental plane like this. So we all can reach to that stage one day with our loving, transcendental loving devotion. So it is mentioned that the first we let's take vibhava. It is went through a little bit, but here I'm just giving you a little more understanding of it. It says special symptoms or cause of ecstasy. What it creates that? What it actually triggers to come to that vibhava, or that the symptoms, or that loving symptoms, or that transcendental emotional is beginning stage of it. So it is mentioned that in the Agni Purana, the descriptions of vibhava is given as follows. The basis from which ecstatic love is born is called vibhava. So the basis from which the ecstatic symptom is ecstatic love is born. Okay, always remember that there is a cause for everything. So where it is coming from, we always have to understand where this transcendental love, transcendental ecstasy is coming from. So that is called the vibhava, the basis. So that's why in two ways it's different, it's basic and impelling. So vibhava means one, the impetus or the impelling to come to that transcendental love, or there is a basis of it, right? The basis of, and then that's the basis are actually explained. So one is actually the basis is actually one who understand and know about the transcendental qualities of Krishna, then it can develop that transcendental ecstasy and love for Krishna. So this is called the vibhava. So in other words, there are two kinds of ecstatic love. The object of basic ecstatic love is Krishna and his devotee. Okay, the basic ecstatic love, that when we develop the love for Krishna and his devotees, this is the basic of that transcendental love that which we develop. Okay, love for Krishna and love for his devotees. Lord Krishna is the object of basic ecstatic love. That Lord Krishna is the object, right? So all we are doing this for to develop the love for Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, right? And then his pure devotees. A reservoir of such love is the object of impelling ecstatic love. That means one who has this object of basic ecstatic love for Krishna and his devotees, that means he is the reservoir of all such love, that Krishna is the object of impelling ecstatic love. So that object, when we see that Krishna is the supreme, he is all reservoir of all pleasure, he is the cause of all the causes, he is Bhakta Valsala, he is very dear to his devotees, he has such a transcendental qualities. When we see that object, then what happens? It impels us to develop this love for Krishna. So basic and impelling, right? So yeah, then that is love which develops when one sees object that reminds of Krishna, right? So when we hear about Krishna, right, when we are hearing Bhagavatam class, as soon as when we hear about Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, what happens? It develops the love because of the object of love is Krishna. When we hear about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, somebody says about Krishna, then immediately what happens? that bhava, that vibhava, which develops, that's impulse that to develop, right? So that the course of that hearing, course of that Srimad Bhagavatam reading and hearing, which develops that love for Krishna, right? That is called the basics of it, and which also impulse it. So then, which is further explains, Lord Krishna, who is the possessor of inconceivable potencies and qualities of transcendental knowledge and bliss, is the basic cause of ecstatic love. The devotees, unless and until we have that object of love, we cannot develop this. Okay? So we should always have that object of love, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why hearing is most important. Unless and until we hear about the transcendental qualities and the subject matter of Krishna, then we cannot come to that stage of loving devotional service. So we should always hear. So the hearing is, that's why Sravana Kirtana, the hearing is the foremost of all to develop the love for Krishna. Lord Krishna also becomes the reservoir of or the impetus of ecstatic love by his different incarnations and expansions. That's why we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many incarnations and expansions of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this way that we develop that love for Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement in connection with the Brahma Vimohana Leela, which demonstrates something of this impelling or impetus giving feature of ecstatic love. We know that the Brahma Vimohana Leela, Brahma stole all the cows and the cowherds and kept it into a cave. Then Krishna immediately replicated all those cows and the gopas and reached back to the home. And Krishna replicated, and Balaram saw this. Balaram got immediately. And then Balaram was saying that. Balaram said, Krishna's elder brother, Sri Baladeva, direct expansion of Krishna himself, felt astonishment and said, how wonderful it is that my ecstatic love for Krishna is again being attracted to so many cowherd boys, cows and cows. See that who became that cowherd boys and the cows? That Krishna only. So then what happened is mentioned that in Srimad Bhagavatam, now the gopis developed such a love for even more than love for the cows and the, even though Krishna came as their own son. So immediately that Krishna, then they developed such a love for, and the love was increasing day by day. And even Balaram was astonishing that the love for the cows and the cow is increased. How come? Because of Krishna is the object. And then the Krishna is there, this will all multi-manifest like anything. So then Balaram was struck with the wonder by thinking in this way. This is one of the examples in which Krishna himself becomes the object, a reservoir of ecstatic love in the impelling subject. So the subject and the object is Krishna himself, dear devotees. Unless and until we have that the mercy of the Lord, we cannot develop that. And how who gets that the mercy of the Krishna? One who doesn't have this false ego in continuously in the service of continuously in the practice of the Krishna consciousness, get that the mercy, and then he is the object of that love, and then one who gets that object of love from whom? From Krishna by causeless mercy. Always remember this. So ours, and who gets this? Who is eligible to get that mercy? One who practices sincerely and selflessly in Krishna consciousness. Always remember this, dear devotees. Okay? Then we come to this understanding. Then the second one, Vibhava. Vibhava divided into two, basic and impelling, right? That's the Vibhava which you mentioned. Impelling means something that gives impetus or stimulation to ecstatic love for Krishna and his transcendental qualities, his uncommon activities, his smiling features, his apparel and garlands, his flute, his buffalo horn, his leg bells, his conch shell, his footprints, his places of pastime such as Vrindavana, his favorite plant Tulasi, his devotee and the periodical occasions of remembering him. One such occasion for remembrance is Ekadashi, which comes twice a month on the 11th day of moon, both waning and waxing. On that day, all the devotees remain fasting throughout the night and continuously chant the glories of the Lord. So, what it gives that impetus? See that the impetus which gives that or the mercy that to devotees so that devotees can develop this loving devotion to the Supreme Lord. How is that possible? When we hear that the object and then object has that subject of like his qualities is a subject. right? That's why we hear the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, his qualities. There are 64 qualities. Please read the Nectar of Devotion. There are 64 qualities is mentioned. His uncommon activities, right? Extraordinary activities like raising the Govardhan. Who else can do that? And his smiling features, his beautiful smile, lotus smile, his apparel and garlands, his flute, his Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, likes that. All these pastimes, Leela Madhuri, right? So his associates, his devotees, and then his bells, his conch shell, his footprints. Remember that when Asuras, Akrura saw the footprints of Krishna in Vrindavan, in the dust of the Vrindavan, Akrura got such an ecstasy, tears coming down. He just fall flat at that, the footprints of Krishna in Vrindavan. And then formulating, tears coming down, just seeing the footprint of Krishna, dear devotees. So there are so many examples like that, how these elevated devotees, how this Nitya Siddhas, how one can come to that stage of continuous devotion for Krishna and develop that ecstatic symptom for Krishna, ecstatic loving ecstasy for Krishna. This is different plane, dear devotees. This is a very, very elevated plane that one can reach to. So there are so many ways that it is mentioned that, so that this called impetus that Krishna himself can give that mercy, or that causes that one can come to that stage of this Krishna continuous Krishna or incessant love for the Krishna. So like this, we can see that in quite detail. Then another one is called Anubhava, or subsequent ecstatic love. That's that is mentioned that when we develop this Anubhava, Vibhava, that impetus and the basics and impetus, we started to develop that. Then there is also continuous subsequent ecstatic love. It's developed more and it intensifies more and more. So then here it is mentioned that the bodily symptoms manifested by a devotee in expressing ecstatic love for Krishna are called Anubhava. He started to express it. Right now, initially it is developed in the heart and it is developed in various ways, but now he started to express it. That is called Anubhava, or experiencing it. So he is experiencing it. One time there was a, a snake charmer, and Srila Haridas Thakur. When devotees started to chant the holy name, Haridas Thakur was so ecstatic. He was dancing and he was just going around, and so much. And then he fainted down with that ecstasy, and everybody see that. Look at Haridas Thakur, such a pure devotee, such a transcendental ecstasy. And we know that, and the people of the Kasim, when they beaten Haridas Thakur in 22 marketplaces, 22 marketplaces, even it is mentioned that even couple of marketplaces, that if somebody got that kind of beating from the army men, the soldier servants of this Kasim, he would have passed away. But Haridas Thakur was in ecstasy and he didn't feel anything that is beating on his back. And then later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that I was receiving all these beatings and on my back. So, dear devotees, this is what it is. So, Krishna shower the mercy to such devotees, and that devotee is in ecstasy, continuous ecstasy. He doesn't remember, he doesn't experience anything else than Krishna consciousness. He was continuously chanting this, the holy name of the Supreme Lord. This is called Anubhava, or experiencing the transcendental mellow. So the practical example of Anubhava are as follows: dancing, rolling on the ground, singing very loudly, stretching the body, crying loudly, yawning, breathing very heavily, neglecting the presence of others, drooling, laughing like a madman, wheeling the head and blushing. When there is an extraordinary excess of ecstatic love, with all of those bodily symptoms manifested, one feels relieved transcendently. So there is a beautiful example mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Gadadhara Pandit and Haridas Thakur went to meet the Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was now living in a very opulent manner. He was sitting on a very high, the opulent chair and throne, like, and he has servants fanning him, and he was also chewing the pan, and so many things like that. But then Haridas, Srima Gadadhara Pandit and thought that I came to meet a great devotee, and everybody was telling about this Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a great devotee. But let me see, when I saw him, he was just doing all these things. How is it possible that? Then Gadadhar Pandit was always a very good Srimad Bhagavatam reciter. So Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi started to recite the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then when the Putana, the story of Putana came, then Pundarik Vidyanidhi was completely immersed in the transcendental mellow and he just throwed everything out. He just dancing in such an ecstasy. He's rolling on the ground, tears comes out, and the hairs are standing on them. He was not thinking anything else, anybody else but sitting around or nearby. The Pundarik Vidyanidhi was such an in ecstasy and transcendental mellow and transcendental ecstasy. Then Gadadhar Pandit saw this. What a devotee! And as soon as heard about Krishna in such a transcendental mellows, and Gadadhar Pandit got ashamed that what a thinking, what an offense I made in my heart with this excellent devotee, is a pure devotee. Then Gadadhar Pandit came and told this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned Gadadhar Pandit. In order to nullify that offense, you have to go to take shelter of Pundarik Vidyanidhi and take the shelter and accept Pundarik Vidyanidhi as your spiritual master. Then Gadadhar Pandit accepted Pundarik Vidyanidhi as his spiritual master in order to, nullify that offense he made in his heart against this Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Dear devotees, because of the time that I'm not going into detail, there are so much. So these are the symptoms that one who experiences it. So many devotees come to that when they dance in ecstasy. They continuously then execute the loving devotional service. There are so many examples out there. So we can see that. Then we come to the stage of Swatika Bhav, constitutional or existential ecstatic love. So this is the very higher stage. Okay, when a devotee is always intensely, see that, intensely affected by love for Krishna, in a direct relationship with him, or even a little apart from him, that is pralamba, sambhoga, all those feeling of separation. His status is called existential ecstatic love. The symptoms originating from such existential ecstatic love are divided into three headings, namely moist, burned, and dried up. So such a devotee, they just, continuously, and they have such an ecstasy, and that ecstasy is also further divided into eight. There are eight symptoms of existential ecstatic love. Becoming stunned, that's called stamba. He becomes stunned. When Mother Yashoda was in arena of this Kamsa, then Krishna and Balaram came, and seeing that arena, Mother Yashoda couldn't move, stunned like anything. So that's what is when we see Krishna in such a way that devotees get stunned and shocked in such a way that he cannot move because of that ecstasy. He cannot even talk. That's called stamba or stunning. So there are very eight symptoms like that: perspiring, and the sweat comes out, standing the hairs on the body, flattering the voice, flattering the voice. And there are so many examples out there. And again, we can say that when Akruraji Uddhava came to Vrindavan, and the gopis, as soon as heard about Krishna, now they cannot even talk about Krishna because they are flattering the voice is chalked. They were saying something. They were saying, because of chalking their voice, they were saying something which doesn't have any meaning in, here and there. So this is that devotees, when they come to that stage, they have such a state called flattering the voice, trembling the body, that shiver, like Haridas Thakur was trembling with that ecstasy, changing the bodily colors, It is mentioned that when in Govardhana, when Krishna raised the Govardhan, Mother Yashoda and all, they change their color, and the entire Vrindavan become white because of that, seeing that ecstasy, that love for Krishna, and develops in such a way that they change the color, they become white. So it is mentioned that like this. So shedding the tears and devastation is meant completely that, as if Krishna is not nearby. We know that the story of a Madhu. Madhu is a bumblebee, right? This one, what is this? Madhumangal. Madhumangal was just jokingly said that Madhu is gone. So here Srimati Radharani was coming and say that Madhu is gone, Madhu is nearby, she is standing nearby, but just hearing that Madhu is gone, that means Srimati Radharani is feeling that devastation. Pralaya, that means nothing is remaining. Pralaya, that means complete hopeless. That means there is no hope anymore. and then flat, falling flat at the down like this. So dear devotees, this is called diva. So there are many. This is called the existential. This is the highest of that. And then we come to the stage of the last one, which is known as the Vibhichari Bhava, or overwhelming ecstatic love. This is just giving an overview. So there are some bodily symptoms that express overwhelming ecstatic love or Vibhichari Bhava. They are counted at 33 as follows: disappointment, lamentation, humility, guilt, fatigue, intoxication, pride, doubt, apprehension, intense emotion, madness, forgetfulness, disease, confusion, death, laziness, inertness, bashfulness, concealment, remembrance, argumentativeness, anxiety. So this we all can see this in the gopis. So this is come to the bhava, or we call it as mahabhav. So only the Srimati Radharani can have this mahabhav. That's why we can see that the dealings between Krishna and Radha is so different. Okay, don't compare that with our material nature. This is different. This is beyond that our material conception. So that's why we cannot talk more on this, because of we don't understand this. That's why Srila also mentioned that don't discuss too much, but just an overview as is mentioned here. So sleeplessness, alertness, so many dizziness, all these are the symptoms of this Mahabhav. So that's the stage that all these exalted devotees, those who are Nitya Siddhas, are all into that stage of this, this Mahabhav. Yeah. Then it's called the Sthai Bhav, or the continued ecstasy. This continued ecstasy of love can remain like a powerful king, subduing all temporary manifestations. So this is the highest of all, the Sthai Bhav, continued ecstasy. That means they are always in ecstasy. So this is also part of Mahabhav. That Mahabhav, as mentioned, that only few devotees can have. And Srimati Radharani is one of, right, likes that. So as I'm just concluding this one, let me, it can be exhibited directly or indirectly, and this ecstatic love can be described as direct and indirect. These symptoms of ecstatic love are possible only when one is fully situated in a transcendental position. Direct ecstatic love can be divided into two groups, namely selfish and selfless. When a non-contradictory symptoms of ecstatic love are distinctly manifest, and contradictory symptoms create a sense of abomination. Contradictory ecstatic love is called selfish. That ecstatic love that can adjust in all contradictory and non-contradictory symptoms is called direct selfless love. These selfless symptoms can again divide into five groups. See, that's what is. These selfless love can be divided into five groups. That is what is Shandaras, the Dasyaras, that is Sakyaras, Valsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. See that? So then we can come in relationship with the Lord, Supreme Lord, dear devotees. Then we can come to that Shandaras. Shandaras means that one a devotee is just started his devotion, and then he is, that is mentioned that Brahma Bhuta state, or one who is even past this Brahma Bhuta state, there is no contamination, there is no lamentation. Then we come to that state of, then he comes to that state, then only that he develops such love for the Lord. Then he come to that, and then he is in the Shanda state, or the neutral state. Then we explain many times with dasya. See that our attitude, we are all dasas. We are in relationship with the Supreme Lord, not in any relationship with any of these material dasas. We are in relationship with the Supreme Lord, right? So in theory, but we have to come to that stage that we can directly serve Krishna with that pure transcendental platform, dear devotees. That's where we have to come to that. Then there is a friendship with the Krishna. So many examples, right? So all these devotees had friendship with Krishna because they came to that level. Okay? So that's why this is very important. This nectar of devotion is very important, that one can have to come to that platform, come to that ecstatic, that symptom, that pure transcendental plane. Then only we can serve Krishna purely. So that's what is perfectional stage. That's what is we have to come. Then there is a parental. That's why Mother Yashoda and Mother Devaki got that opportunity. And then the gopis and the all these exalted, the Brajavasis, and they all got this opportunity because of they had such a state. That's why they came to that conjugal loving relationship with Krishna. So but here, by the mercy of our acharyas, we got a title, we are das. We are eternal servants of Krishna, but we can ask ourselves, are we really an eternal servant of Krishna? So that's it's very, very important, dear devotees. We come to this stage and understanding this so that we all can and one day and develop this continuous loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and we all can develop this wonderful, wonderful uh, devotion and come to that stage of transcendental love for the Supreme Lord. So let me stop here with this note. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that it is quite little deep subject matter, but at the same time, it's also important to understand that what is all about. Otherwise, people think that, or we think, oh, this is all just sentimental, just just people just say something about. But these are the different layers and different levels of the transcendental loving symptoms and ecstasy that one can come to that stage in eventually and gradually. Okay, so we learned quite a lot today about who gets the mercy, who is a sadhaka, who can come to that, what are the different symptoms and ecstasies, and how one can come to that stage of, and what is that Krishna is looking, and what Krishna is so merciful. And when we completely that, who can get the mercy of Krishna, when we selflessly, without ego, then continuously serve without any conditions and motive, we serve Krishna and always we remember Krishna, and then we can come to that our stage, our perfectional stage, and then Krishna shower, we get that mercy of Krishna so that we can develop this transcendental love and ecstasy and loving symptoms and develop and come to that stage of Sai Bhav of this Shantaras, either or Dasaras or Sakiras or Valsilyaras or the Madhuryaras, then we can come to that stage. So thank you so much. And this is what it is. We are going to cover the nectar of devotion. And then tomorrow onwards, we are going to start the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So we are not entitled to go further and further details. So otherwise, what happens? So we can all prepare ourselves in order to. That doesn't mean that we should not read. Everybody can read this nectar of devotion, and we can understand. But at the same time, so that we will not discuss this, because other ordinary people will not understand this. Only devotees can understand this. So that's the greatness of this. Okay, thank you so much, dear devotees. And let me stop here. Let me see any comments or reflections or anybody has any questions. So please open up. Thank you so much.
That was Pranam Prabhuji. It's a lot of information, nice class. And I pray Guru and Krishna mercy that we will reach that stage
Yes.
one day.
Yes. That's our prayer. And we always seek the mercy of the devotees in order to come and seek the mercy and shelter of devotees and serve them and serve the devotees and Krishna and serve them selflessly. An opportunity that which comes to us, never ever misuse or miss that opportunity, so that selflessly, that without any ego, that false ego, that this is for me, my fame, my name, we should have come to that very selfless devotional service to the Supreme. This is the way we will be eligible to attain the mercy of the Lord. Okay, so
Thank
by
you,
the
Prabhuji.
Krishna's
Dandavat
mercy,
Pranam.
yeah, by the mercy of Krishna, we get devotees, and by the mercy of devotees, we attain Krishna. Okay, always remember this relationship. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anything to add? Any other comments? See many devotees. No comments, no reflections. Are you able to, are you hearing, or is it mute or something?
No, Prabhuji, we hear very well.
Yeah,
No
okay,
problem.
good. Okay, just wondering it. Any other comments? Any other reflections? Anybody else? Everybody stunned, came to the stambha, just hearing Krishna, or still in this ecstasy?
They got ecstasy.
Ecstasy? Hmm, good. Yes, that's what it is. We all should develop that, you know. Wonderful, wonderful. This is amazing that we understand this transcendental science. This is nothing but the science of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. We all can develop this by the following the footsteps of great devotees, following the footsteps and association with the great devotees, so that we also can develop this and practice whatever the time we have in our life. Some way or other, we engage remembrance of the Lord, chanting and hearing, and this is our sadhana, or this is called our sadhak. We are sadhakas, practitioners. So thank you so much. If nothing else, then let's conclude. Ribol, anybody else? Okay. Okay, so tomorrow we will be starting the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Also, the Gaura Purnima is coming, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. That is on March 24th. And we would humbly request if anybody also, as mentioned in the class, that when we take the shelter of devotees and we follow the footsteps and instructions, so we can quickly achieve this Krishna Prema, right? So devotees are, it says, Vancha Kalpadarubhashya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha. The devotees are the wish fulfilling trees like Kalpataru or Kalpavruksha or Kalpavruksha trees. So they all can attain the Krishna Prema just by, as Prahlad Maharaj says, offering the obeisances and take the shelter. And then on the 24th, there is a Shiksha program. Shiksha program means that one can come to that stage of instructions, that take that instruction, that chant, I will chant 8 rounds, I'll chant 4 rounds, I'll chant 12 rounds or 16 rounds, like that. So this is the golden opportunity. Then what happens? He gets the mercy of devotees. And the mercy of devotees come from whom? The mercy of Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, you get devotees association and their instructions. So then we can continue and progress. So there is a Shiksha program. Devotees can also register, sign up for that, and you can, take some vows that I would chant this many rounds and engage in loving devotional service, so that we can gradually develop that love for the Krishna. Okay, and okay, so then that is on 24th. Um, then also there are a lot of services. If you are interested to participate in the services, please let us know that there are lots of services. We are going to send out the list of services. You can register or you can let us know. So this way you can also participate in the service of the Lord. A wonderful opportunity. Gaura Purnima, that the appearance day of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this is our golden opportunity, some way or other, get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's conclude today's class. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhu bhevacha padidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Kadaraj Srimad Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai.
Jai.
Rupa Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Nanda Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanande Hari Hari
Hari Bol.
jai. Thank you.
In Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, are we going to follow the book or we just
Now we are going to follow the book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
so you
Okay.
will tell us?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.